My name is Julie Pearson Little Thunder. Today is Tuesday, October 29th, 2013, and I'm interviewing Choctaw bead artist Carol Pate for the Oklahoma Native Artists Project, sponsored by the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program at OSU. We're at Tribes 131, a gallery in Norman that handles Carol's work. Carol, you started beading seriously around 1996, and since then you've garnered a number of awards at Gallup Ceremonial, Red Earth Festival, Santa Fe Indian Market, a lot of times for beaded cultural items that you had never tried before, and I suspect there are lots of awards yet to come. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you.
Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Tallahena, Oklahoma, and I grew up in Oklahoma City.
I think I read that when you were really young, you were raised by your grandmother.
Yes. Till I think I was like 4 or 5. I think it was 5.
What are your memories of her?
I remember her cooking a lot and not really much of anything else. But,
So not necessarily any handiwork or
no.
sewing or anything. So how did you end up in Oklahoma City?
I lived in the Baptist Children's Home, Goodland, in Tallahena. And a family, I guess he used to work bringing, like, I think what do you call it? He drove a truck and it brought the food products and stuff to the home. And at that time, I was the youngest one. There was like 3 of us that were pretty young. And he would bring us up here to this church. We could go, up here to church and stay with some of the people that went to the church. So we would do that periodically, and I ended up staying with a family that decided to adopt me. So I've been here since then.
And you had lost your grandma, I guess, when
Right.
you
She passed.
Yeah.
I think I was 5 when she passed away.
Mm-hmm. Your first memory of seeing Native art?
The family that adopted me had taken me to an art show that had Native American stuff, and it was
it here in
it was probably Red Earth because I remember it was downtown. Gone city, so it may have been that.
So you're how old? About
9.
What were your thoughts or impressions?
I didn't think any different of the people. I just really liked the artwork. So I loved artwork. I wasn't good in art, but I loved artwork.
We're going to talk about that. What is your first memory of doing art?
I think I was about 10, and they had a show at school that I had made some beadwork. The hair ties. I made hair ties and won first place on those. So that was the first time I'd ever done anything like that.
Oh my goodness. So you actually had learned to bead by that age a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you learn?
It was on my own. Just I love to do sewing, just little crafts and stuff here and there. So.
Now the family that adopted you, nobody did beadwork there?
No.
But you had just requested materials, or how did that?
I think I remember going to a class at Sunday school, so I think I may have learned it in church.
And then they kept you supplied with your
Yeah.
materials. That's really neat. What other experiences did you have in elementary school with art or beading?
I don't remember beading a whole lot.
I guess that's middle school.
Yeah. I think I remember more of me not being good in art. At school, I had the hardest time in art. So.
What was that due to, do you think?
I'm probably not paying attention. I don't know.
Do you remember any art experiences from like middle school or high school?
No, I don't think I did much art during that time. I would do like needlepoint stuff. I do stuff like that. That's about all.
So did your adopted mom do some needlepoint, or?
No, her mother did.
Her mother did. You got some encouragement from that side.
Right.
What did you do after high school?
After high school, I got married and had kids.
How did you meet your husband, Rick?
Actually, I was friends with Leslie, the owner of the gallery, and
how did you two meet?
We met in middle school. Yeah. So we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
So that's how I met them.
What triggered your desire to start beading more seriously?
I think being pregnant and not having much to do helped a lot.
So with your first daughter,
right,
you had some time on your hands. And
I didn't do much. I tried several different things towards art. You know, like I did some painting a little bit, not much.
On your own.
Right, and didn't figure I could do that. So and that was when Hannah and Edwin, or Hannah worked for Doris Literal, and we would go up there to the shows, and there were several dolls she had that I loved that were beaded, and I guess that's what started that.
Yeah, I was thinking that having that regular exposure first to Doris's gallery, and then when did you get with Patricia? Patricia Mousetail Russell, I guess, first showed you peyote stitch.
Well, Dolores Pratt, yeah. She's the one that showed me. We'd gone to Red Earth a few times, and she worked also with Doris Literal. And we'd gone to Red Earth with her a few times, and we were talking about beading, and she was the one that told me that I should start beading. But if I liked needlepoint, it'd be something like that. So, and then going back, not too long after that is when Patricia had her, what do you call it, at the Jacobson house, her workshop.
Her workshop.
And so that's when I went over there and learned the peyote stitch.
So this was a workshop that Patricia was giving. Did your mother-in-law have her gallery already? Was it at the gallery, or?
She had her gallery already, but it was at the Jacobson house.
It was at the Jacobson house, that's right.
And the way we got those together is we belonged to AICS at that time. And
right.
And she was one of the members, so we would periodically go over there and do some of the workshops that they had.
Right. And AICS stands for?
American Indian Cultural Society.
Right. So what did you guys work on during the workshop?
She taught us how to do bolo ties, the ends of the bolo ties. So we do the peyote stitch, which is anything round. Yeah, that's what I learned from her.
Which opens a lot of possibilities.
Right.
Had you been doing any beaded items for the gallery on Main Street yet?
Yes.
You had. What kinds of things had you done?
Probably small. I did a lot of little turtle fetishes, like you were talking about. I did a lot of those, and some moccasins, and just small things like that.
And I remember those beaded, little fetishes, and how miniature they were. Do you like miniature work, and what do you like about it?
It's something you can start and finish, within a few hours. Unlike a dress.
Right, right. So when you're pregnant, that's a good.
Right.
Yeah, they were really mesmerizing, those little fetishes. What was the first sort of big item that you made after Patricia's workshop?
Again, Dolores had taken me to Red Earth, and we were going through, and there was this couple that had these little boxes that were all beaded, and I asked to see one, and they wouldn't let me hold it or look at it. So when we were leaving, I thought, well, I could probably do that since Patricia showed me how to do the peyote stitch. I went home and I did 2 of them, and Dolores sent them to, where did she send them? Gallup. And I won first place on one and second place on the other one.
She entered them for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where
And that's so glad you mentioned that, because that's sort of how it works, isn't it? When beaders go around and admire each other's work,
Right.
and somebody has a good idea, you're going to adapt it and make it your own. Did you have any other beading mentors?
Let's see. I love Terry Greaves' stuff, and I met her when they did the first Cherokee market. Was the first time I met her.
Which was how many years ago? Maybe just about 10 or 5?
No.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago. And I enjoyed doing some stuff, talking to her and listening to her stories. And
you had seen her work in magazines or...
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I liked her work. So.
Did you check out books on beading techniques too, in addition to your workshop?
No, I got a few designs from a couple of books that were at, what's the name of that catalog? Crazy Crow catalog. They had some books you could order, but they were not really books, they're like pamphlet type things. So that's basically what I looked through.
So were you using primarily, starting out, sort of plains designs? Mm-hmm. Did you start off beading on buckskin pretty quickly, or leather?
More buckskin than anything.
Mm-hmm. What was the first item that you sold that was a pretty good price?
Let's see. I think it was one of my turtle fetishes, and it was a pretty big one. That was the first one, and I sold it to Ed Pate.
Your father-in-law. But that counts. How did you know how to price your beadwork? Did you have a sense of how to price things from the start?
Not really. Hannah helped me with a lot of it, so.
What was the first item you sold, like, to a store, another store, or gallery?
I sold a lot of baby moccasins to the galleries. That's always been a good seller for me.
Right, right. And you continue to do those?
Yes, yes, today.
How important were booth shows for you when you started out?
They weren't that important to me because I always had, the gallery to show. So I really didn't start that till later.
What was one of the first booth shows that you did?
It would have been Red Earth, probably.
What were your expectations when you did it, and what was the reality like?
I have no idea. It was, they were a lot of fun, meeting a lot of people. And for some reason I would sit there and work through, I'd be working while, because it wasn't fast enough pace for me to just sit there. I would get bored. So I would be working most of the time during the shows.
And you do hear feedback from people on your work?
Yes. I hear a lot.
Did you have a lot of inventory at that show?
My first one, no. I didn't have a whole lot. And you kind of learn that you have to have a whole lot.
Yeah, it's a hard call,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Right. You never know.
Do you try to sort of have a range of, on the price scale, do you try to have a range of things? And
Yes, I do. And I try and do something, I try and use new. I don't like to take the same, that I've had before. If it hasn't sold, then I won't.
you won't take it to another show. You'll
Try and do new stuff.
right. Now you have 2 daughters. Did they powwow dance? I can't remember.
No, neither one would.
So you didn't have to do beadwork for them.
No. They were too shy, I guess.
Were you interested in doing pictorial work at all?
No, I'm like more the design type
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
And how about Southeastern designs? Have you explored them very much?
My friend Roberta Wallace, he did a lot of pots that way. She showed me a lot of different things Southeastern, but I've never tried to really bead anything like that. So maybe someday.
You didn't take a pottery class with her, did you?
No, but she would sit around. Well, I just one-on-one because I would go to her house and she'd show me, but it wasn't really a class type. But we'd do some things and then she'd break them.
Oh no.
But I guess that was her way of teaching.
She'd break your pieces, you're saying?
Well, we either break them when they fired or we just end up breaking them because they weren't worth using.
I see. Yeah. That's a
Now,
hard.
hers are beautiful. Mine
Yeah.
were very interesting.
That's a good story. Thanks for that. How was your earliest beadwork different from what you do now?
Probably more contemporary stuff now, but because I'd rather do traditional, but I like doing contemporary because you can use all different colors and there's more of a spectrum of what you can do on.
Mm-hmm. Freedom,
Yeah.
artistic freedom. Sometimes the hardest part of doing art is like the business part. What was the best piece of business advice you got starting out?
No one really ever gave me any advice until I went to Indian Market. And when I went to Indian Market, I shared with a jeweler, and he told me at that time that if you really want to make money, the more inventory you have, the better you'll sell. And he was probably right.
So that was your first year going to market.
Mm-hmm.
The whole family went?
Let's see. No, me, Leslie, and my mother and stepfather went.
How many pieces did you have?
I probably had 20.
But still not enough.
No, still not enough.
Did you sell everything?
Not the first year. No. The second year I sold everything. So. And I had more inventory.
What role does your husband play in your business?
He tells a lot of people about it.
Does he do any photography of your work for you?
Yeah, he does all of it. Yeah. And he's done, I think, every bit I've done. Not sure what.
Do you market your own work online as well as online through the gallery, or?
Right now, I just go through the gallery online. too hard for me to get on there and do it and her do it at the same time because I can't have that much inventory at one time.
Right. Did you apply to Indian Market a couple of times before you got accepted, or did you get accepted after your first application?
I got accepted my first application.
That's unusual.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
What were your impressions of the larger market when you went the first time?
Oh, I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. It's a lot more fast paced. It's been my best show ever since I started beading. Has been that Santa Fe market.
So how long do you prepare for it?
All year. All year.
Do you sort of tell yourself if it's a really strong piece, do you sort of try to save those best pieces for market
Yeah.
and competition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I know what I'm going to do by the end of, this year, for next year.
For
So I'll
August.
Go ahead and start.
Well, this same year, I think you entered for the first time. You won 3rd place on a buckskin dress.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you to tackle a buckskin dress?
Back to the dolls. I like the dresses. I like the beadwork on the dresses, and especially the white one, the white buckskin, where you can see all the colors and everything. And there was just something I wanted to do that was a little bit different than what I'd seen, and so that's what I did, the butterfly dress.
And it was a little girl's dress, wasn't it? Yeah, a woman's dress. It also had some quill work, didn't it?
No.
Okay.
No, it didn't have any quill work.
What were some of the challenges of doing it?
Well, I wanted to do it so as the little girl grew up, if she wanted to make her dress bigger, then she could take the little butterflies and everything off and put it on a bigger one. So I did it so she could take them all off and put them on a bigger dress. I know she didn't, because the lady that bought it, she takes pictures of little kids in the dresses and paints them. So I know who it went to, and she never did.
But what a great idea. And that was part of the reason that you won, probably.
I hope so.
I think that's really a great idea. You also have done a miniature cradle board. What got you interested in cradle boards?
That's all the big ones. I wanted to do a big one, and I haven't tackled that yet, but I will. So I wanted to make sure I could do a small one, so I did a small one, and I did it with size 15 beads, so it was a little bitty.
Yeah. Pretty time consuming.
Yeah, but it turned out good.
Have you ever tried, like, you've done beaded purses. When did you start moving into those?
Let's see. That was probably after the fetishes, not too long after I started doing purses. Yeah. Well, actually, I went fetishes, dolls, and then purses. So, and the dolls went back to the dolls that I saw at Doris.
And do you still make dolls? I
Yes.
didn't realize that.
And they're the ones that don't have the face, but
Have you ever tried a bandolier bag, or thought about one?
I haven't tried one of those. I thought about doing the Choctaw sash. I'm going to try one of those. See where that gets me.
Yeah. When there were a few years, I know, when the gallery downtown closed and before Leslie opened her gallery out here, did you kind of slow down your production during that time, or?
No, that's towards the end of when Hannah shut her gallery down is when I started doing work for Shorty's in the stockyards. So, and she keeps me busy with, 3 to 4 hats a month. So.
And this is the Western Wear store, is that right?
She does hats only, I think.
Oh, she does hats only.
Yeah.
And you do the beaded headbands for the
headbands.
hats, the hat bands.
And the brims on some of them.
Oh, you bead the brims too. Oh, yeah.
So,
So that's kind of nice to have standing orders, but then maybe on the other hand, it's sort of stressful too.
sometimes when they're about 3 months behind on hats right now. And so when I get them, they're wanting to rush. So they'll give me a deadline, but I can usually get it done. So.
How much of your work is commissions?
Lately, most of it. Before, maybe 2 years ago, I was doing a lot of shows, but within this last couple of years, I've kind of slowed down on the shows and have just done commission work because I've also got another job. So.
Right. So how do you carve out time for your beadwork? Do you
on my days off.
That's when you know you're
That's
beading.
Yeah.
You gave a workshop to members of the Choctaw Cultural Club, right? At one point. When did you get involved with the Choctaw Club?
Again, through the AICS, I met a lady that had been a member, and then once it broke up, she, I guess, went to Choctaw Alliance and started doing stuff with them. And she called me and asked me to come do it, so I went up there.
What was that like, doing your
It was
first
fun.
workshop?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun getting to know other people and showing them how to do beadwork.
Did sometimes your students sort of can indirectly give you ideas too? I don't know if that happened or not.
Oh, not really. I still have students that come by and say, I still haven't finished. That's been, years ago.
Well, you don't have to worry about any competition, do you?
Right.
I understand you we're going to have a show at the Department of Interior at the American Indian Arts and Crafts store there.
Yeah.
And you're ready to go, and the government shutdown happened. So can you tell us that story?
They picked a really good time to shut down for us. Because it was like, I think it may have been maybe a week before they shut down when I bought my tickets to fly out there. And nobody knew if they were going to open or not or anything. So then they opened the day before I was supposed to go. They still had a small thing, I think, because it was their 75th anniversary thing. So I think they're supposed to do one in November, but I think they've already got orders scheduled for that. So,
So you had sent your work, or not?
I didn't. I was going to take it with me because you can pack mine easy. And, so we didn't know anything, and then we finally decided we'll just not, because we weren't sure even if they did open. So we decided not to, and so I just sent my stuff to her.
So they will be showing your stuff whether or not you decide to go in November.
She'll have it there at least.
Right. What's an upcoming project that you're really excited about?
Upcoming project. I've got, I guess, probably my holiday show will be coming up soon. I should be already working on that.
Be getting some work out for that. That'll be here at the gallery.
Yes.
In November. What would you like to try in terms of beadwork that you haven't had a chance to try so far?
like I said, I want to do a cradle board, a full size.
A full size.
And I have an idea of another dress, and this time I actually found me a form to use, so I'll have something to put it on. All my other dresses, my husband has had to make a form for us.
Oh, yeah, and that's crucial.
Mm-hmm. Be able to hang it up and see what you're doing. And then I have an idea of mixing media on my work. I've kind of started on it. It's going to be a bronze piece with beading together. I hope it turns out the way I keep thinking it's going to.
That sounds really fascinating, because you would be sort of doing the model and having it cast. And
I would have to do the beading.
by soldering?
Every piece would be bronze. I'll tell you, it's going to be a turtle. And what it will be is I'll bead the turtle part, the back, and maybe some on the bottom, and it's going to fit into a bronze, kind of like, the outside will be bronze, and it's going to be like, have a lip around it with the feet, and the head are going to be bronze. So we'll see how it works out.
That sounds really neat. Are you collaborating with anybody, or are you?
No, I know David Kaskowski wanted me to do some work with him, but we haven't connected yet.
So you'll be
And we're both
designing the whole
yeah,
turtle.
Yeah, I'll be doing that myself.
Now, do any of your daughters do beadwork? Either of your daughters?
They both did a piece, and they won at the Kids Spreader show. They both won. One won in first place, the other one second place, and that's all they've ever beaded.
Had to prove they could do it, I guess.
Right.
Well, let's talk about your process and techniques a bit more. I read that you don't sketch your designs. You start with colors. Can you explain for us?
Well, I have a Pyrex dish that I just put the colors that I want to use in that. If it's something somebody has commissioned, then I'll, certainly do what they want and in the colors that they want. But most of the time, I do the colors I want to do, and I mix them, and that's how I use them. And I start out and it just goes where where it goes. I can't.
So you can sort of move the colors around. That's
Right.
part of the reasoning.
Right. That way, if I don't like the yellow here, then I can just the green there. It just depends on what I'm doing most of the time.
How do you think your use of color, your palette, has changed over the years?
I don't know if it's really changed. There's certainly more colors now than you could get before. So I think it's more contemporary colors than the older traditional colors that I like.
And you're not really drawn to antique beads too much. You don't.
I use 13s. That's all I've ever used because I like the way they shine. And when you're finished with the product, to me, I like that. So that's what I've used. I'll use a size maybe 10 to do the outline, or but other than that, I've used that or smaller. Because the smaller you get a better design. But
Do you have a pretty good supplier for your buckskin right now? Or?
Yeah, I order it from the catalog, so you can get it that's brain tanned or just whatever.
Where do you buy your beads? Do you like to buy online, or do you like to go to shows? Or
I used to go to powwows and buy them there, and then I had a lady that used to sell them. She would sell them at powwows, and I could go to her, and then she quit selling them. So I've had to find other outlets to get them, and I order a lot of them from Crazy Crow. So.
have you done any loom work at all? Do you have any interest in that?
That's what I do, the hat bands.
Oh,
I do
okay.
hat bands on the loom.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
do bracelets on the loom.
Right.
You can do belts on the loom.
What makes your bead art, what separates it or distinguishes it from that of other bead workers?
I've had people tell me it's more the traditional way of beading. But I don't know, I would say how different a lazy stitch can be from another lazy stitch, or a peyote stitch can be from a different, I don't do a lot of, like the other brick stitch or church stitch, I don't do a lot of that. I'm usually lazy or embroidery.
Is functionality important to you, that people sort of use some of the items that you make in some way?
Yeah, it is. I do a lot of things that can be, like I've done a lot of moccasins that I think a lot of people will take pictures of their babies in them and then frame them in the shadow boxes and stuff. I thought that was kind of neat. But I like them being able to use the purses and things, and that's why I tell them, if you use a purse and something comes apart or something, just always send it back. I can always fix it. So I think so. I like to be able to use it.
What's your creative process from the time that you get an idea?
Oh, a lot of it depends on what I have to use with. If I have everything there, then I can get it done pretty fast. And if I'm excited about something, I'll work on it really quickly.
And you won't do any sketching of what the...
Now, I said don't, but like I did doctor's bags, and my first one I did had everything to do with medicine and Native American. And so I would sketch out what I wanted on each side, and that's how I would go about doing those.
Right.
So.
And we know that you work at your beading when you're not at work.
Right.
Do you work during the night better or the day better?
My best time is early morning. I like working early morning.
Do you like to work to music or TV, or does it matter?
Either.
Well, looking back on your career so far, what's been one of the high points?
Getting any awards for the work you've done. It seems, all of it has been a lot of fun.
What's been one of the low points?
Probably right now would be not knowing, how long I'm going to have to be able to do it because of my eyes and stuff. So.
Right, because you're having your eyes checked and the situation looked into.
Yeah.
That would really sort of, that could do a number on you, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It would be in or thoughts and prayers about that. Is there anything else you'd like to add or talk about? Something we might have forgotten to include?
Not that I can think of.
And you don't want to tell us what you're working on for Indian market? This probably won't go up online before.
Well, I had two kind of things. I was wanting to do these, the cards, a deck of cards. I really wanted to do a deck of cards, but trying to figure out how to show them all.
That's an interesting idea.
It's a big deal. And then another dress. I'd like to do a dress. I'll have to figure out which one I'm going to do. Which one I'm up to do.
Right. Well, great. Well, we're going to take a look at your work now.
Okay.
Okay, this is an example of one of your beaded bags. You want to talk to us about this?
This is a Choctaw stick ball bag. On my purses, I do something kind of different. This one,
I see that. Yeah.
Only on this side, though. But and you can tell it's Choctaw stick ball by the way the string.
Right.
is. So,
It's beautiful and beautiful beads.
thank you.
That
like
white
these
just
brown
sets it
colors,
off.
too.
Yes, I do too. And do you ever title your bags or your beadwork?
Not the purses I haven't. No, the doctor's bags I have. So.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
So you'd give them a title. Okay, we're looking at a couple more bags here.
Yeah. This one's my kaleidoscope.
Oh, it's
You look
beautiful.
through a kaleidoscope and you see the different colors spinning around. That's where I got that one from.
That's such an interesting idea. Your own unique design.
And this is the German Edelweiss.
Yeah, and this is a more contemporary bag here at the
Right.
back with the German Edelweiss, because Leslie has some German ancestry
Mhm.
on black beaded background. That is beautiful.
Thank you. It has a bigger one.
Oh, that's really nice.
These are all done in 13 cut beads.
Right.
My son shoots skeet, so this was something he was wanting, and I had to make one to make sure I could do it.
And it's really pictorial. You're telling a whole little story here. I love the buffalo and the warrior there.
He's supposed to be a little boy with baby buffaloes.
Oh, okay, yeah. He does look like a little boy.
Yeah.
Very nice. And those are kind of silver. Are they old German silver tacks?
Old
or
coins.
old coins.
Mhm.
Beautiful with the fringes. That is really neat. So these are the last three items, and you want to talk to us about those again?
These are little horn toads that I do. A lot of them, we put pins on them and they hang them on their jackets or
Yeah,
scarves.
that's so nice.
And this is a little business card pouch.
Wow.
And this is a box with a peyote stitch on it that I learned.
That they wouldn't let
That
you
you wouldn't
hold,
let me
but you
hold.
figured it out. That is gorgeous.
That I'm working on. Look at the top. Show you the top. It's gonna go on. This will be the top one.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. That
Get it
just pops, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Carol.
Thank you.